Hey guys, I'm back. It's been a while, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your support, and especially to those of you who have reached out to check in on me. Everything's okay. I had to take care of a few personal things and things with work, but I'm back and I'm going to be posting now on a regular basis going into the new year. So thank you so much for all of your support. Now, for today's video, I wanted to share with you something that's going to help you with the upcoming holiday season. Christmas and New Year's is almost upon us, and you're most likely going to be put into situations where you're going to be meeting new people, especially women that you potentially want to start dating in 2025. Well, in today's video, I'm going to share with you one very important thing that's going to make you unforgettable to anybody that you meet. So there's many different ways that you can become memorable to someone. It could be a detail on your body, or maybe on your outfit, or even a personality trait like your sense of humor. But out of everything, there's one particular detail that is absolutely paramount to become memorable. That is the minimum cost of entry for any type of relationship that you want to build with a woman, or even friendship in general with anybody. And that particular detail is your name. Have you ever been in that situation where you were getting to know someone at a party or in an event, or even a place that you frequent like the gym, and you thought that you had good rapport going, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, they said, "Sorry, excuse me, I'm so horrible with names. Can you remind me, what is your name again?" And usually it's no big deal. Most of us are bad at remembering names. But whenever you hear that sentence, there's almost like a small part of you that dies inside that thinks, wait a second, am I not important enough to remember my own? You can't even remember my own name? And you see this in sitcoms, in comedy shows, but it's true. Our name is very important in order to have any type of relationship or friendship with anybody in this lifetime. And when you forget that name, it just makes things less personable, less genuine. And I've been in that situation before where I've seen someone that I've seen many times, but I've forgotten their name, and all I can say is, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's just awkward. So I'm going to share with you some tips that's going to make it way easier for you to become memorable in terms of your name towards women and people that you meet. And it applies in the same way for you also remembering their name. Now, the most effective way to get someone to remember your name is pairing your name with some sort of association. So as an example, I'll use my name. So I feel that my name is old school. It's not very common. I don't know a lot of people with the name Roland. And so what I started way back in the day, and what's worked really well, is I associate it with the country Poland. And so I tell people when they ask me my name, I'm like, well, my name is Roland. Do you know the country Poland? Yeah? Well, think of Poland, but with an R. And ever since I introduced that to people, they never forget my name, because in their mind, as soon as I say Poland and Roland, they're like, it makes it that much easier to remember because it's a country that's common to remember, right? So that's one example of an association. Another perfect example is one of my buddies, Hammer. Like, that's his nickname. So nicknames are also another way to help people remember your name. Maybe your first name you might not feel as interesting or as catchy as a nickname. So sometimes using a nickname will make yourself more memorable. One of my best friend's his name is Hammer. And I remember way back in the day when we first met him, we asked him, "Dude, like, why is your name Hammer?" And you might be thinking, well, was he some sort of gangster or fighter? Well, his first name is Armin. And if you're familiar with the baking soda brand Arm & Hammer, that's where it came from. And it's not that he doesn't like his name Armin, but in his mind, like, Armin sound like prim and proper, and Hammer just sounded cooler. So we've always called him Hammer. And it's funny, whenever we're out in a social setting and we introduce him to people, say, "Hey, this is our buddy Hammer," we kind of get this reaction, "Hammer? What does that mean?" And then we explain where that nickname came from. And we just had a good laugh. And that's one of the easiest ways as well to help someone, especially women, remember your name, is have some sort of association with it. Even if it's a nickname, like my nickname is Rolo. That's something that my closest friends call me. And I've had women even like just have sexual innuendo with with the term Rolo. I won't go there that far, but you can see where that can go, and where you can have a lot of fun with that. So introduce a fun nickname and have fun with that with people. Now the same thing vice versa is have some sort of association with someone's name, with someone that you meet. I've even gone as far as when I first meet someone and I get their name, I say, hey, I want to make sure I don't forget your name. Do you have a nickname, or what's the easiest way that you tell people to remember your name? And so I've had people tell me, well, like one perfect example is this guy Jerry. He's got a glass eye. He was in a severe accident a couple years ago, and he lost his eye. And so he tells people, well, just remember me as glass eye Jerry. And every time I see him at the gym, I just know it's Jerry. I don't call him glass eye Jerry, but I know him because he's got a glass eye, and I just call him Jerry. Some people will tell me, well, just think of my job like I'm WestJet Christy, because she's a flight attendant. So every time I see her, it's in my mind I say WestJet Christy, but in life, when I actually see her, I'm like, hey, Christy, how's it going? Right? So you can even ask them like, hey, do you have a nickname, or what's the easiest way that you tell people to remember your name? And they're flattered, because we all know that we're all horrible at remembering everybody's name, especially when you're meeting them for the first time and you're going to be spending time with them at an event, over the course of the night. So they'll be very grateful for you to remember that and to even suggest that. Now, there's one other thing that is very important when it comes to names, and not everybody is like this, but there are people who are very particular in terms of how you pronounce their name. And if you can pronounce their name correctly in the way that you want them to, not only will you become memorable, but you just have so much more rapport and trust built with this person, especially women. And as a perfect example, it just so happened this year I met two French Canadian women, both of them from Quebec, and they had very unique French names. One of them was Noemi, and another one was Katsi. And for the first woman, Noemi, think of the name Naomi, but instead of Naomi, it's Noemi. And she's a nurse, and when patients would see her name, they would say Noemi, like Noel, but she's like, no, that's not how you pronounce it. I'm like, well, how do you pronounce your name? And she's like, well, the proper way of saying it is Noemi, but fast, so Noemi. I'm like, Noemi? Noemi. And like, she was so happy because I was born and raised in Quebec, so I understand with the French accent, like how to pronounce her name. But she was almost getting frustrated that she almost wanted to change her name to Naomi, because in Kelowna, or where we live, everyone speaks English. And she's like, it's just so much easier to not have to explain to people how to pronounce my name. And it was the same thing with Katsi. When I first met her, she told me I would be probably the only one that could pronounce her name because I was also from Quebec. I'm like, well, okay, well, we'll say your name. It's like Katsi, like Poutine. And I'm like, and when I saw her name tag, it was spelled Katie, Katy, but in Quebec, you say Katsi. And for those of you who are familiar with poutine, it's not poutine in Quebec, we say Poutine. It's like this silent S after the T. But when I started pronouncing Noemi's and Katsi's name properly in a conversation, they were just so happy that someone took the time to really understand how to pronounce their name. So especially with women, if they have a unique name, take the time and show them that you care and that you understand how important it is to them that you pronounce their name properly. On the flip side, you're going to encounter some people that are very particular with their name, and if you don't say it in the way that they want it, it's going to create a very negative experience. And the perfect example I'll share with you of this is a previous job that I used to work at. I was introduced to people on the leadership team, and there was one guy, his name was Michael, and I reached out and said, hey, Mike, nice to meet you. And he looked at me with this look as if there was daggers in his eye. Shake my hand. Nice to meet you, Roland. Yeah, my name is Michael. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you prefer to be called Michael? Yes. Just stern. And afterwards, one of the managers just mentioned to me, don't worry about that. But a lot of people used to call him Mike, and he hates it. He wants to be called Michael. So if you meet someone and they say their name is Michael or Andrew or Robert, commonly we know, okay, well, Mike or Andy or Bob. Don't necessarily jump there unless you hear their friends calling them by that abbreviated name, or even ask them like, hey, like Robert, can I call you Bob? And see if they're cool with that. But just know, not many, there's some that are very particular about how you pronounce their name. And I haven't encountered any women like that, more so men, but just something to be aware of. Now, final tips. If you need to take notes for people's names as you meet them, I've done that before. After I talk to them, introduce myself, and we part ways for a bit until I join them again in another discussion, I'll go onto my phone and I'll make notes. I'll say, okay, Jerry, had this drink, or Katsi had this drink. So I'll make some notes there. You can also repeat your name multiple times, or repeat their name at least 3 to 4 times within the first 5 minutes of an interaction. This was actually an old sales tactic that I was taught way back in the day when I used to work retail. One of my sales managers told me when I worked at Sunglass Hut, as a customer enters the store, introduce yourself, get their name, but mention their name at least 3 or 4 times throughout the interaction, and you'll most likely have a higher close rate. And it absolutely worked. It made not just the interaction more personable, but I was able to sell more sunglasses because I remembered the customer's name. So try saying their name 3 to 4 times throughout the interaction that you have with them, the initial interaction, to help make it stick. Now, there is a life hack. This is a pro tip, and this is to help with the fact that many of us are very bad at remembering names. One thing that you could absolutely do, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this, but one thing you could do to help others remember your name is, if you're at an event, or if you're going to a place that you frequent, like the gym, where you don't see people as often, and you're not sure if they remember your name, the next time you're interacting with them and telling a story, inject your name in it. So as a perfect example, I was talking with someone at the gym today that I haven't seen for quite a long time. And I was talking to them about work, and I mentioned, today I was talking to my boss, and my boss was like, Roland, it's so dead right now, ... And I just strategically interjected my name because I wasn't sure if they remembered me. But as soon as I brought my name back, she said, oh my God, Roland, that's so hilarious. It's dead at my work too, and blah, blah, blah. And, for the remainder of the interaction, it was great. And then when we finished off, I said, hey, have a good workout, Lynn. And she's like, have a good workout, Roland. And she remembered my name. So that was great. But that's a pro tip that you can use to help others remember your name throughout the period of the event that you're attending, or throughout the time that you're at the gym, or wherever place you are engaging with that person. So give those a try. If you have any other tips that has worked for you to remember someone's name, please leave it in the comments below. I look forward to your comments and your feedback. But I hope this is insightful and helps you with upcoming parties and events that you're going to be attending, and helps you to become unforgettable to women and any person that you're going to meet that you're potentially going to start a friendship or even a new relationship with in 2025. So thanks again for all of your support, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.